And welcome to the QTV News Desk. We take a look at the headlines. 17 members of the Catholic Church have died on the spot, while several others sustained serious injuries after being involved in an accident in Mbala. Vice President Inonge Wina has expressed sadness at the loss of 17 lives in a traffic accident that occurred in Mpulungu. With the news in detail, my name is Chitalu Chinsenge. 17 members of the Catholic Church have died on the spot, while several others sustained serious injuries after being involved in an accident in Mbala. And the Road Transport and Safety Agency says it is concerned with the continued disregard of road rules and regulations by motorists. In a statement, RTSA Head of Public Relations, Frederick Amubanga, expressed the agency's concern over the levels of disregard to road traffic regulations among motorists. He states that the continued disregard of road traffic rules and regulations was resulting in fatal accidents that were preventable, as seen from the Mbala accident, which happened as a result of speeding and use of goods vehicles to carry passengers. Mr. Mwanga says 17 people died on the spot around 01:30 hours on the Mbala Mpulungu Road at a place called Kasimango Village. He explains that the accident happened after the driver failed to negotiate a curve due to the excessive speeding. There were 62 passengers on board, 17 died on the spot, 42 seriously injured and 3 escaped unhurt. The passengers are Catholic Church members who were going to Mpulungu for a church service from Senger Hill. Defense Minister Davis Chama has assured the public that his ministry will tighten up its security to ensure that Zambians are free and secure following budgetary allocations towards the nation's security. Mr. Chama says with enough allocations towards the nation's security, people should be assured of tightened security in the nation. And Mr. Chama has described the 2018 national budget as inspiring. Mr. Chama tells Q News that the speech has a long oversight in terms of the country's developmental aspect. He says he is pleased that the speech hinges on the security of the nation. Mr. Chama says the budget further touches on the aspect of poverty reduction, which is paramount for every nation. He says Zambians are entitled to development and Patriotic Front government will deliver on that specific mandate.
These matters are confidential. I think you hear the minister has presented a very good budget, which is very inspiring, and that will address the poverty levels of our Zambian people, and also to secure the security of the nation, because security is very paramount. Without security, you can't develop. Any nation that lacks enough security cannot prosper. So our people deserve development, so they're entitled to development, and we are desire to make sure that we fulfill what the Zambian people demand or they require.
Vice President Inonge Wina has expressed sadness at the loss of 17 lives in a traffic accident that occurred in Mpulungu. And Ms. Wina has assured families of the victims that the nation is mourning with them in this tragic moment in life. She also conveyed condolences to the bereaved families and the Roman Catholic Church, which experienced yet another accident involving its members not too long ago. Ms. Wina says all law enforcement agencies and other relevant bodies are on the ground to ascertain the reinforcement needed to save lives. She has since called on the general public and all road users to ensure that road safety is given. Ms. Wina says Zambia Police and Road Traffic and Safety Agency operations must be heightened not just in moments of accidents, but at all times, because prevention is better than cure, so that lives are protected. This is contained in a statement made available by Stephen Mwansa, Permanent Secretary of Office of the Vice President in Lusaka. The opposition Green Party has described the 2018 national budget presented in Parliament as the most conservative budget in decades. Party President Peter Sinkamba says Finance Minister Felix Mutati's 2018 budget has thrown to the wind tenets and benchmarks set by the 7th National Development Plan. Mr. Sinkamba says this has brought into question not only the relevance of this planning platform to development planning, but also predictably and coherence of the inter-ministerial coordination. He explains that pursuit of the 7th National Development Plan shows that the PF government has committed itself to mobilize resources from domestic revenues, borrowing and grants totaling 341.3 billion kwacha for the 5-year duration of the plan implementation. Mr. Sinkamba says on average this is 68.3 billion kwacha annually, although for the 2018 financial year, the 7th National Development Plan has allocated 66.6 billion kwacha. He says being the first budget under the 7th National Development Plan, the 2018 budget presents a litmus test on coherence and predictably of the PF government to attainment of the 7th National Development Plan aims, objectives and strategies. Mr. Sinkamba has stated that it is shocking that barely 5 months after flamboyant launch of the 7th National Development Plan, the Finance Minister has thrown the wind benchmarks set by the 7th National Development Plan, presenting a 71.6 billion kwacha, which is almost 7.5% above the 66.6 billion kwacha dictated through the 7th National Development Plan threshold. He says the 2018 budget estimate presented by the Finance Minister is not only above the 2018 7th National Development Plan threshold, but also above the 5-year average capped at 68 billion kwacha. Meanwhile, the United Party for National Development, UPND, says it is still studying the 2018 national budget. UPND Mazabuka Central Member of Parliament, Gary Nkombo, tells Q News that his party is still studying the budget and will give its reaction to it when it fully understands the content of the document. Mr. Nkombo, however, states that the budget may trigger the cost of living in the country even higher. He has charged that it is the small things such as the TV levy which will amount to the high cost of living in the country. Mr. Nkombo, who is also UPND Parliamentary Chief Whip, has further explained that the increase in the prices of cement in the country will also increase the cost of rentals and other social amenities.
The presentation requires to be studied in detail. From the face of it, we think that the cost of living is going to go up. You heard the minister speak about small things that amount to big things, such as the TV levy, such as the excise duties. We spoke about increasing the price of cement. What that means is that the rentals in this country are going to go up. The minister didn't say much regarding the Lusaka Copperbelt Road. According to him, PPP does not quite include government, but to our understanding, public is government. So it also goes without saying that at that cost of building that road and the recovery period and the players in there, we are told that NAPSA, part of the players, are going to establish toll gates. If they're going to establish toll gates, the return on the investment must come as quickly as possible. It goes without saying that the toll gate fee will not be as it is with the toll gates that are run by the RDA. It will be a bit more expensive. So generally, I think our general comment is that this budget is going to increase the cost of living. But we will give you the details as we study it so that we are not too prejudicial. Thank you very much.
And the opposition New Congress Party has described the 2018 national budget as progressive. Party President Peter Chanda says the 2017 budget is capable of enhancing confidence in the national economy among the international communities and investors. Pastor Chanda has acknowledged that this budget has tried to address some of the critical issues faced in the country. He says the budget is fair and progressive because it has focused on consolidating the fiscal policy so that the economy can recover from foreign shocks. Pastor Chanda further explained that the budget also brought out government's willingness to enacting the budgeting and planning policy to ensure that there is enough citizen participation in budgeting process. He pointed out that this is the only way that the government service delivery can become responsive to the people. Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP President Sean Tembo has vowed to bring justice to prevail on the issue on the 42 fire trucks scandal. The police arrested NGO activist Laura Mitty, PEP President Sean Tembo, Singa Pilato, and others for protesting at Parliament over the fire trucks. But Mr. Tembo says his stance to bring justice to prevail remains unwavering and is just starting. He says he intends to pursue this matter all the way to its logical conclusion. And Mr. Tembo says he will this week write to President Lungu to follow up on modalities for the commissioned forensic audit in this matter. He has advised those who unduly benefited from the 42 million scandal to be very afraid because they will be arrested.
As Patriots for Economic Progress, we are very happy with the response we got from Zambians in their support of our right to demonstrate against the scandal involving for $2 million for the fire tenders, which we did at Parliament yesterday. We were very overwhelmed with a lot of messages of goodwill, as well as people who came to visit ourselves at Emmansdale Police Station. We had close to 50 different visitors, including about 10 lawyers who offered to provide their services to us so as to secure our release. We are also grateful to the hospitality which was extended to us by the people we found in the cells, our cellmates in other words. I think they were very hospitable to us, and we would like to say thank you to them. With regards to the basis of our protest, I think it has always been very clear that this matter of the $42 million tender cannot not just go away. It has to be pursued to its logical conclusion. And ourselves as Patriots for Economic Progress are basically going to ensure that this matter is properly investigated, and that if there is anybody who unduly benefited from this particular transaction, then that person needs to be very afraid, because we are going to come after them on behalf of the Zambian people. So that is our message to Zambians out there.
The Zambia National Teachers Union, ZNUT, has advised its members to accept the newly salary increment that has been awarded to teachers. ZNUT spokesperson Joe Kasaka has told QTV News that it is necessary for teachers to accept what has been negotiated for, as the union will still be engaging government on salary increment. Mr. Kasaka says the negotiations were not easy, and that is why it has taken long, hence the need for teachers to accept.
The new agreement with the GRZ concerning the salary increment that has been awarded to our teachers, what we can simply state at the moment is that that is what we can get so far. You know, negotiations are issues to do with give and take. So it's not arm twisting. We cannot say, unless you just give us this and so on, then that's when we'll say we've bargained or we've gotten a good deal. When you are going for negotiations, you expect that there will be an offer and a counter offer. So those are the issues that come out of these negotiations. So what has been given right now, in the prevailing situation, where we expected extremely nothing, but something comes out. So as teachers, we need just to accept what has come for now. But that does not close our doors for future negotiations. What we are trying to say is that for now, we can get what has been offered, and then we move on. Then later on, the bargaining again will be opened. We'll have another increment, which also our teachers, I'm sure, will come to appreciate. But what we can state is that these negotiations have not been very easy, and that's why they've protracted up to this time around. We started somewhere about January. We've been moving on. It became all difficult until we got what we got right now. So my appeal to the teachers is that for now, we need just to accept what has been negotiated for, and let's move on, let's work, and we'll keep on improving our conditions of service as time goes.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kasaka has appealed to teachers to turn out in numbers to commemorate Teachers' Day, which will be commemorated under the theme Teaching in Freedom, Empowering the Teachers.
We don't want a situation where teachers become so rigid. Instead of teaching maybe a topic which is talking about fishing in that particular area, then they'll be talking about teaching in, fishing in Minnesota, fishing in Zimbabwe. Those are things that we don't want. We want our teachers to teach in freedom, to localize the curriculum so that that curriculum responds to the needs of that particular area. So we want our teachers also to have the freedom to teach anything. Even the students, they must enjoy what is known as the academic freedom. They should be able to ask questions, any question, without fear that there will be repercussions that will come after they've taught that kind of subject, or they've asked that kind of question, which many people may think. When we are in a school environment, that school environment is immune from any other prosecutions that can come, because the issues that are being used to teach in school are not issues that people are discussing on the streets and so on. No. Things that are in the curriculum, there are things that teachers must teach. And therefore, if they touch certain areas which appear to be so sensitive, those areas are within the confines of the school. Therefore, we don't need to politicize them, we don't need to criminalize them, but those are the issues which our teachers. So we want our teachers to have that freedom to impart knowledge to the learners without being deterred.
The Zambia police on the Copper Belt has denied the opposition United Party for National Development permit to conduct a peaceful demonstration against Konkola Copper Mines KCM outsourcing. UPND Nchanga constituency losing candidate Derek Chilundika says he's worried why the police denied them permit when they notified them on time. Mr. Chilundika has accused the Patriotic Front government of failing to stop the KCM from outsourcing. He has pledged to support the KCM employees and the union leaders and ensure that KCM reverses its decision. Mr. Chilundika says the UPND is not against any investor, both local and foreign, as long as they follow and respect the labor laws of the country. He has reminded the police that Zambia is a democratic country and denying them a permit to peacefully demonstrate is infringing on their rights. Mr. Chilundika has since urged the police to stop playing double standard when carrying their duties. Economic and Equity Party EEP leader Chilufya Tayali has challenged Roan Member of Parliament Chimba Kambwili to a live television debate to expose him of his corrupt practices. Mr. Tayali tells Q News that despite Mr. Kambwili's zeal on exposing corrupt activities in government, it is actually him who is more corrupt. By broadcast time, the QTV News crew found Mr. Tayali sourcing for funds and resources to hold a press briefing aimed at exposing Mr. Kambwili's alleged corrupt practices. Mr. Tayali says he wonders why Mr. Kambwili is all of a sudden trying to be a hero by fault-finding government's undertakings when he is corrupt himself. The EEP leader says he has had enough of Mr. Kambwili's rantings and ready to expose him of his corrupt practices. He has since challenged the Roan MP to a live television debate on or press conference where both will be present.
For me, soon after laying things on the table, I'm even going to the police. I want him to be arrested. Me, after talking, I'll lay my evidence on the table and I'll take him, I'll go and report to the police. And I hope this time around the police will act. The thing is that I don't want people to take it like, it's political, I've been sponsored. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's why I've tried to be quiet, but I'm coming out because Kambwili himself has invited it. He has said, me, I'm clean. Anyone who has evidence, let him come out. He said it on radio. He was talking to Bowman Lusambo. So me, I have. I mean, it would be unfair for Kambwili if I don't bring out the evidence. So I want to bring it out. I want to expose Kambwili.
The Zambia DNA has proposed for the extension of the state of threatened emergency. The organization's spokesperson, Spooky Mulemwa, says President Edgar Lungu's invocation of Article 31 has helped curb the acts of lawlessness and sabotage in the country. Mr. Mulemwa says as the state of threatened emergency 90-day period ticks to a close, there is a need to review the security situation in the country. He says since Parliament approved the state of threatened emergency 90-day period, there have been no media reports of police harassment of innocent citizens or disruption of business and day-to-day life. Mr. Mulemwa has noted that the country has enjoyed relative peace and calm during the state of threatened emergency 90-day period. He is of the view that the current peace and calm the country is enjoying is as a result of the invocation of Article 31, thus the need to extend it. Mr. Mulemwa has since advised all Zambians to remain peaceful and law-abiding as the country is known to be a beacon of peace.
As the state of emergency 90-day period ticks to a close, there is need to review the security situation in the country. Zambian DNA echoes President Lungu's comments that the revocation of Article 31 will be decided based on the advice from the security wings and agencies. We note that the country has enjoyed relative peace and calm during the state of the threatened emergency 90-day period. In our view, the current peace and calm the country is enjoying is as a result of invocation of Article 31. I repeat. In our view, the current peace and calm the country is enjoying is as a result of the invocation of Article 31. However, the revocation of Article 31 will plunge the country back into the acts of lawlessness and sabotage that necessitated its invocation in the first place. We are of the opinion that invocation of Article 31 should be extended after the 90-day period expires if the country is to continue enjoying the peace and calm. We urge all Zambians to remain peaceful and law-abiding as the country is known to be a beacon of peace.
Patriotic Front Matero Ward 28 Councillor Agi Chinyanta has embarked on women empowerment programs to supplement government developmental and empowerment programs in communities. Ms. Chinyanta, who is the only female councillor in Matero constituency, says she has used her own pocket money to empower women in her ward with various businesses. She says in as much as government is working, it is important that various committees are empowered with business to sustain themselves. Ms. Chinyanta has empowered various women groupings from her ward with bags of rice to start businesses and extend it to other groups as it expands. She has further lobbied support from the Muslim community to help the women with their nutritional needs by giving them dairy products such as goat meat.
Infrastructure companies abantu abena Zambia bakwate nchito tonkanyati mukuchuchutika kwanti na inewine njibukishe bana mayo banti community abangu tero bonchi ta represent ya local governments ofona achitire deep pocket yandi nati kanjambe na lichita identify ati kukasa makunoven province twalikwata rice isuma sana kumtengo usuma so muna milioni bati njapo kumichita impower umubana mayo bati mumono fomu ngashitisha then ngamwa ichita impower mwebeni ngamwabomba bwino twalolesha nakuli bali bambi mukarayibika mwebeni ngamulebika maseti ya tatu then ngamwabono fomu lebomba twalolesha kona bambi bana mayo.
And the recipients have thanked the Patriotic Front Matero Ward 28 Councillor Agi Chinyanta's effort in empowering them with some skills. They have stated that they will no longer have to wait until government starts employing them, but use the opportunity to improve their lives.
So tifunika tigulise, tikagulisa nazo tambochitako empower zake. Kuti vapezeko mwamene vangangalire. Kwati zakwanisa ndawo zonse kwembekeza tiye zatipasa. Pamene vatipasa patikagulisa, katakena zakulira ko 25 kg tachitako empower zake and so on pakawose tikakwane.
Wewa ishimo kwana nayo mwaiche bati afya amwani litunatu sekeramu. Empowerment imuzimai aliyense. Aho twanokera mu mwandini. Nokuya pali muwemu kuyali pitaka na fyozo.
Njani kwa bonse fe imo mulelo la fe kuti 2021.
Mwandini no terale sale mipala mwandini.
Consumer and Unity Trust Society (CUTS) says the procurement of the 42 fire tenders is not a priority considering the number of challenges the country has been facing. CUTS Center Coordinator Chenai Makumba says the entire process has caught the citizenry by alarm because they were not made aware of it from the onset. She tells Q News that what government should take into consideration is whether the proper procurement process was considered. She reiterates that even if the procurement could have been genuine, buying the equipment amidst other challenges the nation has been facing is a drawback. Ms. Makumba has since advised government to ensure that future procurement processes are made open to the public.
I think the issue of the fire tender, specifically the $42 million that was spent, has caught, I think, the entire citizenry by alarm. It's a lot of money to have spent on. I think what a lot of citizens are saying is not really a priority. I think there's two key aspects that need to be looked into, particularly when you're looking at this conversation. The first one is, were the proper procurement procedures followed? I think that's been a question that a lot of people have been asking, and I think it's important to ensure that we ensure that our procurement processes are open. And then secondly, I think the other concern that has been raised by a lot of people is that even if the procurement processes were followed, number one, is it an issue that we should be essentially putting money into at the moment? I think a lot of people have been discussing about the fact that that money could have been used, for other issues, whether you're looking at the health sector or the education sector. In fact, I think I heard a comment saying that more people have died from inadequate medication rather than from fires. And so I think there's an issue also about prioritization. Was there really a need for us to be spending money in that sector? And so I think it's something that a lot of people need to look into. I think the government, the president has spoken into it, and we look forward to hearing the results.
Former ZANASU President Prince Ndoi says Zambians must brace themselves of tremendous development due to this year's increased budget as compared to last year's. Mr. Ndoi says this year's budget underscores a perfect prescription for the economic fundamentals relating to the country's position. He tells Q News that last year's budget was centered more on unlocking and settling debt with contractors, but this year's budget has been premised on issues of growth and continued economic recovery. He has appealed to the private sector to take advantage of sectors which seem to have received diminutive funding.
And our immediate reaction to the just presented budget is that it underscores a perfect prescription for the economic fundamentals relating to where we are today. The last year's budget was more centered on unlocking debt, settling debt in view of contractors and so on and so forth. And I think what the minister has spelled out for this one, in terms of the debt instruments and everything that has tax instruments and so on and so forth, it demonstrates that it's a budget that is premised on the issues of growth and continued recovery. So Zambians must be more expectant. We're yet to dissect the budget, but the most important thing is that the budget has grown and it has spelled out the program for growth and recovery. And I think we're continuing on recovery and growth. And also just advise the private sector that where the budget seems to have allocated less into whatever sector, it also creates an opportunity, because it's a game of give and take. It creates an opportunity for the private sector perhaps to also join into participation. So where there's less investment, the opportunities are humongous. Also, we'd like to appreciate the fact that he has also underscored the issue of removing completely the issue of externalizing the aspect of debt in terms of tax holidays. So I think that is a good thing.
National Union of Public and Private Educators, NUPES, says it is delighted that government will continue on its infrastructural development agenda. NUPES Secretary General Nelson Mwale says that the union is further overwhelmed with the government's compulsory health scheme, but appeals to government that the pronouncements made are actualized. He says it is also the union's hope that all resources allocated to various sectors reach the targeted people. He says it would be more important if the end users of the resources put them to correct use and not misappropriate. He says the union has vowed to protect the allocated resources for the benefit of the nation.
Of Zambia NUPES, we are saying as a labor movement, we are so grateful that the Honorable Minister of Finance can make such pronouncements. One, he has talked about the continuity of infrastructure development, which is taking place already. Then he has talked about the 16,000 girl children that will be sponsored by the World Bank and other international organizations. As if that was not enough, he has also talked about the introduction of the compulsory health scheme for the members of staff. As NUPES, I think we are so grateful to the pronouncements, and we are optimistic that these will be implemented and they will come to pass. However, whatever has been allocated, our hope is that it will reach the target people. The end users must put these resources to the correct use without abuse of the resources. As a union, we are saying we will do whatever we can to protect these resources, because at the end of the day, these resources must benefit a child out there in Chama. These resources must build a school in Shangombo.
That is all we had for you in the news. Before we go, a recap of the headlines. 17 members of the Catholic Church have died on the spot, while several others sustained serious injuries after being involved in an accident in Mbala. Vice President Inonge Wina has expressed sadness at the loss of the 17 lives in a traffic accident that occurred in Bulungu. You can visit www.qtvzambia.com for more news. My name is Chitalu Chinsenge. God bless and pleasant viewing.